Don't care what you see what I mean?
But I'm glad that you told me this.
Yeah.
They're gonna start right now. Okay. Yeah, we're just there for the actor.
That would be a miracle.
They said I don't like that.
Say it out.
Yay. There was a protest outside of Ed Royce, or I mean Gil's office on Monday or something.
Oh no, it was the indivisibles from District 39 responding to Maxine Waters' a call to have nationwide protests on President's Day against Trump's executive action.
Were you there?
Yeah,
How many showed up? Indivisibles.
right.
They were very low energy.
Well, how many did he think were there? 200?
You were there, Jay?
Are you SVP? Huh?
Robert. They weren't all indivisible.
No.
CP?
I don't know. It's still okay. Show your signs.
Mike, is this yours, SCP?
I don't think they can do that. It's a public record now.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight. We are going to open a public session at 5 p.m. Getting closer. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I would like to ask Mrs. Bender, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Barlovi didn't do the fist. Good job, David.
There are no items to report out of closed session. And we will then move on to item H, approve the agenda for February 19th, 2019. Is there a motion? A motion by Mr. Trunke and a second by Dr. Powell. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And there were no opposed, so the motion passes 5-0. Next item is 1I, approve the minutes from the regular meeting of the governing board for February 5th, 2000.
David Barlovi is a rabid socialist, and he was holding up the socialist fist during the Pledge of Allegiance, which is very disrespectful. And he's an open border guy, so we're confronting him on that here in Santa Clarita.
Comments?
Had to make a minor adjustment to the minutes. The minutes have been posted properly on the pieces that are provided to the public. 3 of the names that were included in last week's minutes during public comment were included incorrectly with the types of comments that were made, and so that was adjusted.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other?
Let me just
if I can, just pull up the bid.
The revision has been updated on the website.
Mr. Baralabi, could you please repeat your question?
The minutes have been updated on the website also?
Correct.
I would still like to make a couple of corrections. The word traitor is misspelled. Also, I think the name of Jill Bresnikan is still listed. She departed before public comment, so I don't think we should list her at all if we're attributing certain comments to the list of the individuals there.
Is that all, Mr. Tempe?
Yes.
So in that case, with required corrections, Dr. Okay, so Dr. Powell amends his motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
I second.
Well, Mrs. Aerosmith had seconded the original motion. Mrs. Aerosmith, do you approve of the amended motion? Would you like to still second? Yes. Okay, very good. Okay. Seeing no other corrections or comments, we can move to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any objections not seen, so therefore the motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Up next is approve the minutes of the special meeting of the governing board for February 9, 2019. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Funky. Is there a second? Second by Dr. Powell. Any questions or corrections? Seeing none, we can move on to the vote. Please, everyone who is in favor, please say aye. Aye. And seeing no objections, the motion passes 5-0. Okay. Up next, we are at our hearing session, and we will begin with the Saugus Teachers Association. Ms. Rocha.
Good evening, trustees and cabinet. Tonight's agenda has you approving a school calendar that 98% of our members have voted to support. We would like to publicly thank the site administrators that have heard the teachers' concerns and are thinking outside of the box in order to address needs. We hope at some point these administrators have time to share some of their great ideas with each other. Paul Martinson has a working relationship with the 6th grade teachers and the Tesoro Junior High staff to discuss the transition and what can be done to help our 6th graders. Mary Mann has made a commitment to create regular planning time within the school day for grades 3 through 6. Both Rio Vista and Cedar Creek administrators have worked to provide release time that focuses on technology. They are giving time for teachers to work with our tech TOSAs in order to get a better understanding of Illuminate. Both Sky Blue Mesa and Cedar Creek have committed to providing extra planning time to work with the district art TOSAs. Unfortunately, that's where the good news ends. We were so disappointed in what we heard when we attended the special board meeting last Saturday. To know you spent money on a consultant that directed you to not listen to your members or your community unless there were significant numbers was disheartening. When I speak at this podium, I represent our 458 members. I send this message to those 458 members. Our 458 members work directly with our 9,600 plus students. When the consultant tells you that you don't need to worry about specific issues unless a significant amount of the community makes their voice heard, that concerns us. The parents of our 9,600 students deserve to know these facts. You have publicly mentioned the risks and met with our members to prepare them for layoffs. You have spent money on construction here at the district office to increase safety, where we house no students. Yet you allow children with severe behavior issues to injure students and our teachers. However, not a penny has been spent to address this. You also sent several administrators out of state to multiple conferences after you announced that we're in a budget crisis. Look at the minutes you published of your last public board meeting. We see that even through the public session lasted 3 hours, you were able to sum it up in 2 sentences. We appreciate that Mr. Barlavi did speak up at that meeting and was willing to question the consultant's directives. We are disappointed that the 2 sentences that you put in the public posting did not match what was stated. To know that the board was directed by a hired consultant to answer every email with a standard response and not think for yourselves is disappointing. We have invited each board member to meet with us, and the responses we've received has been the same, that we should meet for team building in order to improve communication. But now you have limited access to this building, which sends a message that the community and staff are no longer welcomed in. We hope that you will consider the message you are sending your employees and the stakeholders of the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is California School Employees Association, Chapter 112.
Good evening. Everything's going smoothly. CSE approved the holiday schedule. Sunshine Agreement will be delivered to Dr. Stevenson tomorrow. Lots of eager retirees if CERT goes through. Next couple of weeks, we will be sending out information of a appreciating of classified employees program, where board members and administrators get matched to classified employees to observe the daily work of classified employees. It will take place during May on Classified Appreciation Week. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Next, we have Saugus Administrators Association.
My God, all these unions. Jeez. The Janus decision.
Good evening, Board and Cabinet. There are 5 words that will most likely stop anyone who works in a school in their tracks as they are consumed with the mental checklist of things that need to get done before the first bell rings or while running off to a meeting. I learned a lesson 10 years ago about these 5 words that has had a lasting impact on how I interact with the people around me. It was a busy morning at Bridgeport as I walked past the front counter of those 5 words to me. Do you have a minute? I let the parent know that I couldn't meet with her at that time and that I would call her later as I was headed off to meet with the teacher. A few hours later, that parent and I talked. She shared with me that she had wanted me to know that her husband was undergoing emergency surgery for a tumor that was life-threatening and that her children didn't know yet. She had wanted to know my thoughts on how to best handle how to tell her children. Her next comment is, "You're the professional. I value your opinion." I was too late. Her husband was out of surgery and her children had already been told about their father. We could have the most rigorous math program or the most up-to-date science labs or the best innovative professional development, but if we don't have positive, trusting, and healthy relationships with us, then those things, the curricula, the programs, the buildings, won't have the sustained impact on learning that we want them to have. Almost every action we take circles back to the relationships we build and maintain. Relationships between teachers and students, relationships between teachers and administrators, relationships amongst teachers, relationships amidst our students, and relationships with our cabinet and board members. The research and even the meta-research is there. With an effect size of 0.81, relationships impact learning and achievement. No matter what happens, we can never lose sight of the fact that education is personal. One person's journey from point A to point B can look very different than another's. As site administrators, we have each worked to provide personalized support for teachers, and particularly our non-tenured teachers, whether it be to write and use, as Mrs. Mann touched upon at our last board meeting, or how to keep students engaged, an area that I have been working on with Highlands probationary teachers. Administrators and teachers all believe that we can be better for our learners, and as a result, we embrace new ideas. Many "do you have a minute" conversations have taken place before new strategies are implemented or before a staff member feels strong enough to try something new. Only by working together and building and sustaining positive relationships can both groups, our teachers and our site administrators, transform learning for our students. There are many important decisions that will affect change for our district that will take place in the next few weeks. The impact of a possible reduction in force has all of us concerned, and it is vital that we consider all of the implications. So when someone asks, "Do you have a minute?" take heed and take the time to listen. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, do we have a representative from Child Development Program?
Good evening, Saugus Board, Cabinet, staff, and guests. Tonight I will share information about our Child Development Program's tuition-based before and after school program available at all of our school sites. Cedar Creek is an ACES grant-funded program which provides the same opportunity but at a reduced rate. Currently, we have 1,095 TK through 6th grade students participating in our program, with an average of 65 students at most sites and a high of 131 students at West Creek. Our before and after school programs strive to provide safe, structured activities for students of our families. Morning centers are available for students to have quiet time or engage in activities such as Legos or games from 6:30 a.m. to approximately 7:40 a.m. at each site before they go with the rest of the students before school. After school, our sites follow similar schedules, beginning with playground activities, as we understand that children need unstructured playtime after a full day of school. Following this, students have quiet homework time, allow to complete homework and receive assistance from our activity leaders. After this, students may choose to participate in centers such as library, building, arts and crafts, or once a week, many sites offer WII time, as in W-I-I, the game. Many of our sites also offer structured clubs, which are high-interest activities led by the activity leaders. Students choose a club for which they are interested and meet twice a week with the activity leader to participate in club games. These clubs vary site to site due to the activity leader's interest at each site. A few clubs which recently started are Pokemon Club, Echo Club, Arts and Crafts Clubs. Our programs also offer holiday-themed activities, and at one site, students wrote holiday letters to military who were deployed overseas. A site supervisor relayed a cute story today that I'd like to share. Some students were playing board games, and they left them out on the tables when they went outside to play. She asked one of the 6th grade students to come back in and put away the games. It happened to be the board game, The Game of Life. The student looked at her and said, "Oh, no, I don't play that game." She asked him why, and he replied, "Life's hard." She said she laughed and then told him life indeed can be hard at times. I'm proud of the on-site programs we offer for our families. Our staffs develop relationships with students, knowing each in ways that are not always seen in the classroom, and providing them with safe and structured play. I'll close with this. A new site supervisor, when asked recently how she knew she was doing a good job with her program, stated, "When parents come to pick up their child after school, and then they tell me that their child doesn't want to go home yet, and they'll come back to pick up their child later, that makes my heart burst with joy. It tells me we're doing something right." Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Burke. Do we have any representatives from parent leader organizations that would like to address the board?
Say it again?
The next item, parent leader organizations. Okay, and then moving on to the next group, representatives from school site councils. Are there any here that would like to address the board? And then we will move on to questions regarding agenda items. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we will move to superintendent and cabinet reports, and we will begin tonight with Dr. Stevenson.
Good evening. I wanted to bring you up to date on the number of cert packets as of 4 o'clock today that have been actually turned in. We have 18 general education and 9 special education teachers, so a total of 27 certificated. We have 26 classified and 1 management position that have all turned in cert packets. So we look forward to hopefully receiving additional packets.
What was the classified number again?
26.
And the special ed number was?
There's 18 general ed teachers and 9 special ed. And special ed includes our speech and language pathologists, RSP teachers, special day class, and preschool. Okay. And then one other thing, I would like to request to remove an agenda item. Item 6G. We have an incorrect version of the job description posted, and we would like to bring it back. The correct version of the next board meeting.
Open consent. Got it. So, in light of the request, we do need to have a motion to remove the item from the agenda. So is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Barlabi. Is there a second? And a second by Mrs. Arrows. Any questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And there were no opposed, so we have motion passed by 2-0. Thank you. Mr. Heinlein.
I just wanted to acknowledge the facilities team last couple of weeks with the urgent work that was done here, as well as Bridgeport and also Mountain View. So I just want to thank them.
Thank you. I think most of you have seen my board reports before, but I was inspired for tonight's board report. So I'd like to take a moment to read my board comments tonight. As it was President's Day weekend, I spent the weekend reflecting on leadership, tolerance, kindness, and the truly difficult choices that were and are faced by our leaders every day. But it is also Black History Month, and so I began reflecting on the leadership and innovations provided by so many Americans of color. That reflection led me to the following 3 quotes. The first is, how far you go in life depends on your being tender with the young, compassionate with the aged, sympathetic with the striving, and tolerant of the weak and strong. Because someday in your life, you will have been all of these. That's from George Washington Carver. The next is, it is time for parents to teach young people early on that in diversity, there is beauty and there is strength. We all should know that diversity makes for rich tapestry, and and we must understand that all the threads of that tapestry are equal in value, no matter their color. Maya Angelou. And finally, change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change we seek. President Barack Obama. All of these members of society are leaders in some respect. As all members of society are leaders in some respect to those in the community, it is critical that we heed the ideals presented in each of these quotes. We must remember that regardless of our individual values or beliefs, we must find ways to be tolerant, compassionate, sympathetic, and tender in our interactions with one another. It is through these character traits that we can debate ideas while maintaining the brotherhood necessary to create a positive model for our children. We must remember that diversity, not only of race, but of ideas, is what makes America a wonderful place to live, and one that many people all over the world dream of one day being a part of. By seeking to understand rather than blame, hate, or ridicule, we can begin to do the work necessary to create a better world for all, but especially for our children. Finally, the time is now. We can no longer wait for others to find the tolerance, to find the kindness, to find the courage to understand us or those around us. We must lead by example and model the change we desire to see in the world. If we disagree with an idea, a behavior, or an opinion, we should respectfully challenge it and respectfully try to understand it. As we are all a part of the world that we create, we must strive to lead in a way that creates a world that is positive, productive, and safe for all members of society. We can accomplish this together by each taking the time to listen to one another and fully understand what the other is saying. Understanding is not agreement. We may never agree, but we should always seek the understanding over perpetrating hatred and violence. I hope that every member of the Saugus Union School District family has an amazing February, and we move forward together with these ideas in mind.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Ella.
That was
All right, and now we will move on to board reports, and we will begin with Mr. Trunke.
Good evening, everyone. I want to start off by congratulating all of our 2019 Teacher Tribute honorees. Jane Turner from Ridge, Linda Fogelsong from Cedar Creek, Megan Lentz from Emblem Academy, Lynn Angelet from Foster, Janice Elam from Helmers, Dan Kurtz from Highlands, Amber White from Mountain View, Andy Sheridan from North Park, Monica Smith from Plum Canyon, Tammy Dozel from Rio Vista, Melody Rosen from Rosedale, Ann Richter from Santa Clarita, Athena Smith from Sky Blue Mesa, Anna Marshall from Tesoro Del Valle, and Brooke from West Creek Academy. Congratulations to all of you. Next, on February 6th, I had site visits with Cedar Creek and Plum Canyon and wanted to say thank you to Mrs. Pear and Mrs. Mann and to all of their staff for their hospitality. I want to say thank you to all of my colleagues and Dr. Hawkins for a great morning at Emblem Academy at our special meeting on February 9th, discussing many important issues. And finally, for my report, I would like to read the following statement. While a candidate for re-election this past election cycle, I conducted research regarding charter schools in the Santa Clarita Valley, which is a topic that I believed would be and was an issue during the campaign and at a public forum. In the course of my research, Mrs. Debbie Rocha's history as a former governing board member of the Acton Agua Dulce School District came up regarding that district's approval of various charter schools. Ms. Rocha has also been a longtime teacher in the Saugus Union School District and then, until now, president of the Saugus Teachers Association. Although this research was done by me as a candidate during what ended up to be a close election, I was also a sitting governing board member at the same time. As a member of a governance team, I have a responsibility to not create a situation that may bring negative attention to the public agency I serve. I accept full responsibility and apologize to the Saugus Union School District community and my governance team colleagues for the attention this situation brought to the district. I apologize to Ms. Rocha personally. It was never my intention to gather information about you specifically or to use the results of my research for any purpose other than to answer questions about charter schools during the election with information that was relevant to the Santa Clarita Valley. Ms. Rocha, I regret that my actions led you to believe some other intention. My apologies to you and your STA colleagues. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Trunke. Mr. Barnaby?
I wanted to again thank everybody for coming here today. It's always appreciated to have a crowd and hear everybody's opinions is very, very important. Also, I'd like to wish everybody another happy Black History Month. I hope we're all looking into the great contribution that African Americans have made to our wonderful country in this 1 month that's devoted to that history. And I'd also like our superintendent for that amazing statement that she made. That was very touching and heartfelt, and I appreciated it. And apart from that, I don't have anything else to report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Barnaby. Mrs. Aerosmith?
I want to wish heartfelt congratulations to all the teachers selected for a recognition for this year's Teacher Tribute. We celebrate you and honor your dedication to your students, your colleagues, and your craft, and your contributions to your site. The Bridgeport fundraising event at Barnes & Noble and nearby restaurants earlier this month was well attended. This event had everything: sandwiches, stations, and storytelling. I was lucky enough to hear Caps for Sale, one of my all-time favorites. And I am 6 chapters into the book I bought that night, The Short History of the French and Indian War. Yes, actually it is. Student learning and skillful teaching was exciting to see at Foster and Mountain View. Thank you to all the teachers who permitted me a peek into their classrooms. I truly appreciate it. I saw students practicing routines and kindness. I saw students solving problems, finding evidence, and taking risks. I saw teachers differentiating instruction, conducting whole class lessons, evaluating student progress, and genuinely caring for their students. And I am looking forward to more site visits in the future. I thoroughly enjoyed last week's LCAP meeting. Thank you to Dr. DeArmas for the thorough introduction and guidance. Thank you to the teachers and staff who invested their afternoon in this important work. And special shout out to the teachers at my table for their thoughtful and candid comments and for including me in the discussion. That's it.
Thank you, Mrs. Aerosmith. Dr. Powell?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. I also join my colleagues in congratulating our Teacher Tribute awardees, those who are recognized for that award. I won't go through all the names. Mr. Trunke took care of that for us, but congratulations. I also had the opportunity to visit Cedar Creek Elementary and Plum Canyon, so thank you to Ms. Pear and to Mrs. Mann. Classrooms look great. It was wonderful seeing what was going on in the classroom, and what really struck me the most is that our students were so focused on the lesson, despite the fact they had 3 adults that they probably hadn't seen before staying in the back of the room. And I think that's really a tribute to our teachers, that they were able to keep them on task. And it was great to see the learning in the classrooms. So thank you very much to our teachers, and to Mrs. Mann, Mrs. Bear, and the staff. I also had the opportunity to attend the technology committee meeting. So thank you to Dr. DeArmas in her absence, to KP and to Mia, our tech TOSAs. I usually like to just sit and listen in those meetings because it's my opportunity to hear from our teachers what's working well, what may need to be changed, what's working not working so well. And it's a really good learning experience for me. So thank you to everyone on the tech committee. And also, again, thank you to KP and Mia for the outstanding work that they do as our tech TOSAs. And then finally, I'd like to thank Mr. Trunke for his statement and also for his willingness to work with the subcommittee as we work through this issue. I'd also like to thank everyone for their patience as the subcommittee worked through the issue in accordance with board bylaws and administrative regulations. The process was delayed as a result of the changing composition of the board, but it was imperative to the subcommittee that we follow all policies and regulations precisely, and we are confident that is exactly. Finally, I'd like to thank Mrs. Errol Smith for her service on the subcommittee. While it's not an assignment anyone ever seeks, I truly appreciate your willingness to serve on the subcommittee, and I thank you for your commitment and your professionalism. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Powell. I will also join my colleagues in congratulating our teacher tribute honorees. Being selected as Teacher of the Year for your respective schools is quite an achievement that is worthy of celebration. I'm looking forward to celebrating with you at the upcoming event. I attended the special meeting at Emblem and found it to be a very productive conversation. I thank Mr. Baker and his team for hosting the meeting at Emblem Academy. And I thank the teachers who also took time out of their weekend to attend. I had an opportunity to also attend a meeting with Ms. Ford and representatives from Henry Mayo Hospital's Community Outreach and Fitness Programs to discuss the available programs that they have and ideas for staff wellness for the committee, the Staff Wellness Committee to consider. It was great to learn about the many programs that they offer to community members for free, and I'm looking forward to more about what that leads to, thanks to Ms. Ford's leadership on that important issue. I attended a special spirit assembly at Rosedale Elementary. It was dedicated to little Addison Rivera, who is a brave and wonderful second grader battling leukemia. It was really heartwarming to witness the outpouring of love and support for Addison and her family, including her mom, Cassie, who teaches at the school. So thank you all for your contributions to helping them through this difficult time. Since our last meeting, I also visited classrooms at James Foster and Mountain View, and I would wholeheartedly agree with Mrs. Aerosmith's description. It was a wonderful experience to get to see all of the incredible dedication and learning happening in those classrooms. So thank you to both teams for your warm welcome and the time that you spent taking us through classrooms. I also had the opportunity over the weekend to attend the local community swearing in for one of our Assembly Member Christy Smith. I only bring it up because following the event, I had a very brief conversation with her because during the event she announced that her legislative package includes 7 bills for education. And so I was letting her know that I'm excited to learn more about the details of those bills, and she looks forward to sharing that with us in the coming weeks, particularly when we go up to Sacramento for CSBA Ledge Action Day. So we'll be learning more about that, but she said that she thinks that we'll be pleased to hear what she's proposed because much of it came out of the meetings that she has conducted with several stakeholders here in the community, individual board members, as well as the group of superintendents that she has met with, and as well as many others. So looking forward to hearing more about that and sharing that with you all. I also want to remind everybody that we have a very important and new award that we have nominations, a nomination period coming up for. So the Dr. Joan Lucid Leadership and Service Award will be accepting nominations from March 1st until April 1st. And this award is given to an individual or group that has made a significant contribution to the learning and development of students in the Saugus district. Developed to recognize the legacy of Dr. Joan Lucid, the award is designed to recognize individuals who have demonstrated an ongoing commitment to enriching the lives of children through efforts that go far beyond what is normally expected of an employee, administrator, staff member, or community leader. So there is a form available for that. We'll make sure so that you can access it and submit your nominations, and it is permitted to self-nominate if you feel that you should be considered. So just keep that in mind, March 1st to April 1st. And then also, lastly, I'd like to extend my heartfelt thanks to members of the Saugus Teachers Association, Dean Armis, and Ms. Ford for their expressions of sympathy for the passing of my mother-in-law very recently. So thank you very much. All right, now we will move on to advance written requests to address the board regarding agenda and non-agenda items. I will first read a quick statement, and then we call up our community members who wish to speak. State law prevents the board from acting on any matter not listed on the agenda or from discussing any such matter in any detail. Speakers must have submitted their advance request to address the board prior to the start of the meeting. You should limit your comments to a maximum of 3 minutes
That's a
per
violation of the
speaker
Brown Act.
and 20 minutes per topic cumulatively.
It's a violation of the Brown Act.
Do not, you should only expect the board to take your comments under advisement for possible future discussion and or action. I will also add that because it came up last week and there seemed to be some misunderstanding about the procedure, since many of the cards do not mention the topic that the individuals would like to address, I will, as I did last time, I will make a note about the topic that each person is speaking on. When we reach the 20-minute limit, please be because the board then has the opportunity to seek out unanimous consent to extend the time so that everyone can be heard. We do have about 10 cards, and we do expect, of course, to be able to hear from everybody, but it's a process that we must go through. So we appreciate your patience for that. So we will begin with
CYA.
Ms. Geraldine Duzick.
CYA, that's what it is.
You may take the podium and just let us know when you're ready to begin, and we'll start the timer for you.
Okay, so I should be in those 3 minutes.
Microphone.
There you go.
It's working. Okay. Okay, good evening, members of the Saugus Union School District Board and teachers and guests. My name is Geraldine Busick, and I want to comment on, I didn't make any statement last week, but I kind of wanted to bring back a few things from last week that I thought were important. One is I want to remind the board that they're a bipartisan organization and they should be focusing on any type of political agendas that are outside the school district. It's really, really, really important to focus on the children of the school district because by coincidence, we just happen to be a predominantly white school district. Therefore, we are not entitled to a lot of programs that you see for minorities or English learners. And so every bit of effort has to be focused on these children. And if you do feel that your outside agendas are important, then you need to consider resigning if you can't focus on them. Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, Gayla Caprice Cruz. And I apologize if I mispronounce anybody's name. Feel free to correct me.
Hi. Came to a meeting, not the last one, but the prior one. It was for the English learning something, and he did the pledge with the fist pump. I'm glad to say I don't know if it's the board, if it's my friend Yule, if it's pressure from the media you got last time around, but I'm happy to see that you didn't do it today, and I wanted to say thank you.
Amen.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, up next is Mr. Arthur Shopper.
Shopper.
Thank you.
You'll be okay.
Okay.
Give him mail order.
It's a German name. And means shepherd. Just get this out of here. Yes, let me make sure it's working. Okay. Good evening, Saugus School Board. My name is Arthur Shopper. I'm a member of We the People Rising. I learned about the anti-American pro-open border school board member David Barlavi from some of the local residents here. I also noticed the mainstream media covered the large number of proud patriots who spoke out against Mr. Barlavi's disrespect for our flag and our country. I further recall that during the Santa Clarita City Council meeting last year, Barlavi claimed that illegal aliens are just as American as those born in this country. Such an offensive, incorrect, and immoral comment needs to be respectfully challenged. And the truth is that public ed has turned into government indoctrination, and that is unacceptable. I've now received word from parents in other districts around the state that students are not learning American history at all. They are different events, and it's becoming crystal clear they are being imbibed with liberal, anti-American propaganda and nothing more. Mr. Barlavi represents this growing disrespect when he held his fist in the air instead of placing his hand over his heart to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. A lot of brave men died for this flag, but not recognized evils like slavery, but fought a bloody civil war where 600,000 men died, white men, to free the black man. And this country paid for the territory that was acquired in the Mexican Cession of 1848. And to this day, this country provides opportunity for anyone, regardless of race, ethnic background, to achieve the American dream. That's not oppression. That's opportunity. That's not racism. That is reward based on hard work and opportunity. This is America. And if Mr. Barlavik doesn't like it, he can pack his bags and leave. And I believe that the Saugus Board of Trustees should censor Mr. Barlavik for the dishonor to the flag, and the residents of this district should recall or remove him from office.
The next speaker will be you.
Good evening, members of the board, trustees, you wonderful people of Santa Clarita Valley. I'm a guest from Palmdale, and we are really envious of Saugus School District. Your accomplishments for the past 50 years that I've been seeing a lot of my friends and relatives who graduated, and they're all doctors and lawyers. We're very proud of you. One thing is very heartwarming here to see how much you care about the kids and how much these people care about the kids. And I really sincerely believe we should leave the politics outside that door. Never, ever again say I'm a Trump supporter or I'm an Obama supporter. To heck with that, but I'm an immigrant. I respected the laws of this country. I waited in lines. I got my visa, passport. I came from Iran. And just like Mr. Bartlett, we've seen the atrocities of radical Islam. We believe in humanity. Him and I were on opposite side of the spectrum. He's an avid Democrat and I'm an avid Trump supporter. Yet we hugged, we shook hands, and we're going to be brothers from now on. And I beg of you, all of you, you could be home watching America Got Talent or like Gilligan's Island. I love that, Marianne. But seriously, folks, we should do what you've been doing for the kids. Kids are important. Let's leave our politics out there. Let's lay down all our banners. And I beg of you, all of you, let's shake Mr. Barlavi's hand. And Mr. Barlavi and I shook hands. And he promised he will ever fist again. And he will respect our Pledge of Allegiance and American flag, which we all do. Is there anybody here who could say they don't respect our country? Let's leave our politics outside. Never again, ever again say, Obama said this, or Hillary said that, or Trump said that. Let's leave it out. Let's take care of our kids. Are we all on the same page? Thank you. Yeah, I love you, man.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker is Ms. Robin Davidson.
My name is Robin Biston, and I would just like to relate that last week on my homepage, which is a Google page that brings up most read news stories, the second read news story was the CBS story about the fist and flag. So this story went worldwide. Sorry, the video were viral. Went viral. And I do appreciate, Mr. Barlavi, that you listened to the heart of the American people when they expressed to you how you were hurting them, our veterans, and we want you to be a good example for the children, and that you've done soul searching and you are taking a different stand. Thank you for doing that. On another issue, we would still like to investigate the code of conduct issues. We think those are very important. And as others have said, We want to see the children put first, students first. Many times, policies and budgets, children are really an afterthought when they should always be first and foremost considered by the school board at every turn. So again, thank you, Mr. Barlavi. Our hearts are a little less sad tonight because it really did hurt us to see that. So thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Robert Loughton.
I have three topics to talk about real quick. I was looking at your action plan, and I would like all school board members to do multiplication with the Common Core grid. Okay? And so if you want to improve math standards, you need to teach math, arithmetic, division and multiplication before the Common Core grid standard. And then once they have these fundamentals learned, then it'll be easier for them to do multiplication by the grid. I realize California is a Common Core state, and so you have to use the grid. But you can do some preliminary math teaching before they get into the grid. Okay, and on science, I think you should make science fun. Assigning teachers, when you start evolution, the science teacher should have a styrofoam rock on her desk, and then project it onto a screen a picture of the universe. And tell the students, tell the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students, year-old students, in the beginning, the mass of the universe was concentrated in one spot, and then it became so hot, and became a star. There was a single star that had the mass of the universe concentrated in one place, and then the star exploded, and then over billions and billions of years, it all cooled, formed planets, and we all evolved from rocks. All animals evolved from rocks, all plants evolved from rocks, all human beings evolved from rocks. And then when the students start giggling, don't correct them. Just let them giggle and have a and they can roll over on the carpets laughing. So you need to make you need to make science fun. And lastly, I thank Councilman David Bellari for not protesting not making your protest salute during the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Thank you, Mr. Loudon.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Mr. Len Unkeles.
Set my own clock because I tend to talk too far. Good evening to all of you. My name is Len Unkeles. I'm a concerned parent here in San Diego. I've been here for 22 years, concerned parent for 12. My kid went to Rosedale for a little bit. Later moved on to Einstein. Interesting experiment that. Let me say, Mr. Barlavi, thank you for not raising your fist tonight. It was very much appreciated. I hope that is something that will continue across all your various activities. It's simply, to do it is just not appreciative, not respectful. Good borders make for good countries. Converse is true, bad borders make for bad ones. And what we have here, and I've said this before, is a member of the board has decided that open borders or no borders is the proper way. Because, those that are illegally breaking into our country are the most American among us. I gotta say, I gotta take issue with that. It ain't true. It just isn't. So, what we have is a board member who, in my opinion, is not for the kids. Because if you drop the borders, illegal aliens come in, doesn't matter the country, they come in. Then they move into an area, okay? They procreate, they don't pay any taxes, and next thing you know, our resources are sucked dry.
Respond to them.
Yeah. I mean, look, and it hits California, it hits it hard. Can't have that. That sort of thinking must stop. Ms. Raleigh, you're free to think as you wish, but if you're going to do something like that, I'm going to have to call into question your suitability as a member of this board. Because I think you're not doing our children a good service. You've all heard the words, our children are our future. Why are you trying to ruin it? Okay? It's not America. Let the countries where they come from fix their problems. It's not our, we don't have to take everything. Yes, we're a nation of immigrants, we're a nation of legal immigrants. Okay? Let them go through the process. Not let them in, say you have to appear on this date 5 years from now, then they never show up. Seriously? It just doesn't stand to reason. So, there you have it. Think about, all of you, think about the representation, gotta go.
Thank you. Let's see. Up next is Mr. Mike McCoy.
In this day and age, it's become very hip and very cool and very in style to be anti-American and to badmouth our president, badmouth our country, and teach our children to hate our country, despise our country, despise our founders, despise our Constitution, despise our president. And I think it's up to you people, especially you, to set an example for our children. What kind of a future are you going to leave for these kids? I mean, kids that are this big and shorter. What kind of future are they going to have? What kind of bleak, dark future are you leaving for them? I think it's your responsibility, it's your utmost responsibility to show our president and our country. I saw a sports dude, some character who plays football, and he badmouthed our president so vilely and filthy, dirty language. I've never heard anything like it. And we get that from movie stars, TV stars, sports stars. It's really cool. It's very cool. And we get it even from Congress people. I know we have to get it from you guys too. I think you should censor that guy. I don't see why. None of you he shouldn't be anywhere near a kid. And you should be ashamed of yourself to let something like this go on the way it has. We have a great country. We have great law enforcement like that man over there in the corner. And that's all I have to say.
Mr. Greg Abrahamian. Mr. Greg Abrahamian.
First, I want to thank David Barlavi for saying the pledge with his hand over his heart. That was a big move, and we appreciate that. We really do. And I think it's a great step in the right direction, and we hope we see it, you doing it that way from now on. That's what we need to be showing our kids, how to respect our country. It's a great country. And I want to say, I think it's interesting. Here we are at a school board meeting, and I want to tell you a little bit about what we're learning, because education is a great thing. Unfortunately, what we're learning is this panel, this board, is highly partisan, very partisan. Now, it's supposed to be, the way it's set up, it's supposed to be a non-partisan board. When you run, you don't say you're from this party or that party. You just run. But unfortunately, as a Saugus resident, here we are, we're seeing the superintendent, Colleen Hawkins, and other members making very partisan. A little more time, my mic just went out. Well, I guess I don't have a mic, so I'll just talk. So, I'm seeing a lot of partisanship, and that is really not helpful. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be focused on the kids. And the whole partisan part, like one other gentleman said, it should be kept outside. Saugus Union is a great school. They should not be dealing with the politics of these members and the parents. They don't want it. It's only about the education of the kids. That's all we care about. But unfortunately, I see, politics being brought in. It's got to be kept outside. And I'm going to ask the board to, put some pressure on yourself. Keep the politics outside. It should be just focused on the kids and learning. And we don't need anything else. The whole politics, the kids don't need it. The parents don't want it. Really, we don't. So we're learning, and we're going to keep learning as we focus on the Saugus Union School District. Please keep the politics outside. Okay? Thank you very much.
Yeah, great.
Thank you, sir. So we have reached the 20-minute mark for a singular topic. Not every speaker was on that topic, so I made notes. A couple were on another topic. But we do have one more card. So, Dr. Powell, would you please assess the board?
Yeah, I'll just ask again to extend the time to accommodate the next speaker.
Mr. Chunky?
Aye.
Mr. Barlavi?
Aye.
Mrs. Aerosmith? Dr. Powell? And I agree, aye as well. So we will extend the time and allow Mr. Rodriguez.
What about Mike?
Mr. Rodriguez?
Loud voice.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your flexibility.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, you can see by my signs, America first. I love this country. I was born here. And I think it's important that we as Americans obey the laws and make sure that we do not violate the rights of people who are trying to establish themselves in this country. Those that come to this country are lawbreakers. They don't belong here unless they get in line and become legal citizens. Mr. Barlavi, I would like to thank you. Okay, but I'm still going to ask that you resign. Yeah. But I do want to thank you for not holding your fist when the Pledge of Allegiance was recited. Like I stated before, I'm an American. I served in the military. My father served in the military. So did my son and my nephews and my nieces. It's important that we respect that flag, our laws, and our country, what we stand for. If it hadn't been for our forefathers, the men and women that served in the military, we wouldn't have those rights. Because of them, we have rights. I have a saying, and that saying is choices. Choices we make whether right or wrong, good or bad, will affect you in a positive or a negative way for the rest of your life. So it's important that we make good choices. Another issue is the children that come to the school, or any school for that matter, should be put first. Educate American children first. They should be on top of the list, and not somebody that comes to this country, regardless of the circumstances. If they come to this country illegally, it's wrong to put them before American children. It's important. I want to thank you for allowing me to voice my opinion and my First Amendment right. It's important that everybody here does the same thing, because that's what we have. We have rights, our First Amendment. I want to thank you.
Thank you, sir. And that concludes the speaker cards that we received this evening. So we will now move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the consent calendar. Just a quick note, unless a trustee has a question.
Shot.